Brandon Brands.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This week we talk about what is a content marketing strategy. Check it out.
In a world where advertising is ignored, business is exposed, and the only constant is change, how do you build a brand that matters? Welcome to Brands on Brands on Brands, a home for those who think different and push their boundaries. This is where branding that matters lives. Now, here's your host, Brandon Birkmeyer.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Brands on Brands on Brands. I'm Brandon Birkmeyer, your personal marketing coach, and I believe that building a brand that matters today is the only way for a business to thrive tomorrow. I appreciate you being here. And today we are talking about content marketing strategy. I'm excited because we get a chance to kick off season 3, diving into content marketing, which will be one of the main themes of this season: content strategy, content marketing, how to leverage content for your brand and business. I hope that inspires, intrigues you, excites you, and helps keep you listening. And if you'd like to refer back, before we get started, if you'd like to refer back to any of the specific lessons from today's episode, we've made it easy for you by making all of the notes from this show available for you to download. This is available for free, only for the most recent 4 episodes of the show. So grab them before they disappear at brandonbrands.com/notes. If you missed it, then you can always sign up for our monthly wrap-up at the same link, brandonbrands.com/notes. So let's jump into the show. What is a content marketing strategy? And where I want to start with this is to take maybe a step back and talk about those individual pieces one at a time. So marketing, to help people with that first, in my definition, is simply your message plus attention. Now, there are lots of different theories on this. A lot of people, when you take a marketing class in college, will explain it as, the 4 Ps, which were product and price, place and promotion, and place was about distribution of your products. And for me, that simply still boils down to message and attention. Message is what you're saying about your product or service, and your pricing. All of that's conveyed in your message. It is how you explain to people what it is that you're about and what you do. And attention is a combination of promotion and distribution. So, where are you putting all of your products and services, and how are you making them available? How are people finding out about them is all part of your distribution and your promotion channels. So really, all of that complicated marketing definition, explanation boils down to message and attention. That is all that marketing is. And for the second piece of this, when you expand that out to being about content marketing, content is simply information plus experiences being expressed to a given audience. So when you try to combine that with marketing, it's really about how do you take information that's out there, whether it's about your service or about something surrounding it, taking information and providing it to your audience, something that they would need, or taking experiences and creating those for your audience to engage with and expressing them outwardly so that they can be consumed by your audience. So content is information plus experiences expressed, right? And then strategy, when you try to put this all together, strategy is very simple. It's your plan to reach your goals. So when we add this together, first let me add the content piece to marketing, right? Content marketing is using your information and experiences to convey your message about your product and your price and everything else. And content marketing is also using your information and experiences and expressing them in a way to get attention, putting it in front of people so that it's in the right place at the right time and it reaches them. And then when you add the strategy to it, it boils down to this. Content marketing strategy is your plan to reach your goals with content that delivers your message and grabs attention. That's it. Content marketing strategy is your plan to reach your goals with content that delivers your message and grabs attention. Now, beyond the definition, there is some nuance to this. There are some stages, some steps that will help you move along. But I want you to keep that definition in your head, because when it gets complicated and you hear 1,000 different approaches and strategies, really it just boils down to, when you try to affect someone, when you try to get them to know who you are and you want them to buy from you, and that's your goal, then what is it that you can create out there that they are going to want to read, to listen to watch, so that it engages them in a way that they say, you know what, I want to work with that person. I want to buy what they have, or I want to know more about what they're talking about. If you can do that, if you can capture their attention around the thing that you want to serve them with, then you've taken the first step towards building a content marketing strategy. So let's go through some steps here. I do have a Brandon version of, the stages here, which I haven't cleverly named yet, but for now I'll call them the 4Ds. So it's my 4D content marketing strategy. Maybe that's the clever name for you. The 4D content marketing strategy. We'll go with that. All right. The 4Ds are design, development, distribution, and discovery. So within your content marketing strategy, you're going to need design, development, distribution, and discovery. So the first stage within your content marketing strategy is going to be design. And I say this because when a lot of us get started creating content, whether you're a personal brand or a business, your first goal is really just to find your voice and to find things to talk about that are a great combination of the things that you're good at, your expertise, the things you want to share, combined with, which is your message, combined with what the audience wants to hear, the things that they're looking for. How do you get that attention? You merge those two things. So finding your voice is usually the first stage of that. But there is a second piece of that, which we're calling design, which is stage one in your content marketing strategy, which is about taking that random content you're creating and making it strategic. Random does not equal success. Success does not happen at random. You have to design it. It has to be planned. So to design a successful content marketing strategy, you have to get in there and figure out a few things. One, you have to figure out your master plan for how it is all going to work together. How is all this content you're going to create over time going to work together to reach your goal? If you're not thoughtful about how you create things, what you create, and what their role is over time, then your content is going to be random. So having a master plan is part of this idea of having design. Also within the design stage is you're going to have to figure out your flow. You have to find a flow that's going to engage your audience, that's going to get you that attention and keep them around and want to hear more than the first 3, 4, 5 words of what you're sharing. And it's going to have to deliver value in some way so that once they hear it, they can do something with it and they feel like they got something out of it that makes it useful for them. And so there has to be some kind of flow to it. And you have to figure out your flow for your entire content system and for your individual shows, episodes, pieces of content, whatever you want to call them. And then lastly, you have to create some kind of movement with your content. And usually that can happen one moment at a time. There might be one nugget of information that falls out of that content that you share. My point is that that should be purposeful as well. You should have one message that within your content can help somebody. And it might be one message for this person, another message for that person. But along the way, you can design these moments. You can say, this is what I want them to take away from this, these few things. And maybe that one thing of those few is the thing that's going to help them. So designing that up front and not being random is the first step within your content marketing strategy. The second step in the 4Ds, the content marketing strategy 4Ds, is development. We'll call this your content model, if you will. This is how do you go about developing all of the different pieces of content you want to have across your plan. And so phasing that out, it's a mix, right? There's lots of different types of content. There's what they call pillar content, which is audio content, visual, written, or imagery. And you pick, any of those formats. And there is highlight content, which usually takes from the pillar content and pulls out from it the intriguing moments, the moments of impact, the engaging moments, or some moment of authority that is conveyed. Those are all highlight moments that can be pulled from your pillar content. There is extrapolated content, which are the things that take what you've built and go a step further. So it could be an aha moment, as you will, something that you reflect on that you created. And then you say, you know what, I'm going to go deeper on this. This is what happened. Or you say, you know what, I have an interview. This comment was brought up, and then you dive deeper on that. So it's extrapolated. It's actually new content created based on something that was created first. So it's extrapolated. The next, or it could be some kind of deeper dive, right? It could be you talked about something vaguely, and then you actually dive deeper in another piece of content. And then it could be something that's actually feedback driven. You know, you got some kind of consumer response and you responded to that. So extrapolated content, and then you have recycled content, which could be some kind of something you're posting again. You don't just create it once and post it. You plan to post it again in 3 months and 6 months, or a mashup or a best of or something like that. So development includes this, is you figuring out what pieces of content am I going to create out of all these different types of content, and how am I going to build a model out of that says every time I create something, I'm going to have all these individual pieces, and here's how they're going to work together. Here's how I'm going to release them. Here's what they all are. And once you have that plan for what all the different pieces you are, you've worked through, like, this is what I need. This is my development of all the pieces that I want to create. So that's part 2. Again, this is the 4D content marketing strategy. First D was design, second was development. The third is distribution. Distribution, now you think about, you've created a way to create some amazing content. You have all the different types and pieces that you want to create in your mind. You have a plan for that. You actually have to figure out now, in terms of distribution, how do you produce this content and put it in the places that you want it to go? So within distribution, this is you getting out there and designing what it is that, what's going to work within all the different channels that this is going to. So first off, your platform guidelines is important. So listing out all the platforms that you want to distribute to, whether it's a podcast or it's YouTube or it's Facebook or it's TikTok or it's a story on Instagram, all the different pieces of content, they each have their own guidelines. And there's best practices for each of those channels. And the message here is, don't just repurpose. A lot of people will take something, they'll create something amazing, they'll find a clip, and they'll post that to 3 or 4 social channels, and they'll call that repurposing. My point is, don't just repurpose. You have to creatively distribute your content in places that make sense while adhering to the best practices of those channels. So sometimes just reposting isn't enough. You actually have to figure out what is the new text that's going to go? What's the new copy that's going to go in this post that makes sense for this channel? What is the hashtag that I'm going to use? What is the call to action for this platform that's different than the other channels? Or what is it that I need to do to make this stand out and really get noticed on this platform that's not going to work on the other platform? So figuring out your platform guidelines is part of this distribution step. Figuring out your workflow for all the roles and responsibilities of taking that content and chopping it up and recreating it and embedding it in all these channels. That's a lot of work. And what I hear is people will tell you, they'll pontificate, they'll scream to the mountains, hey, you need to create something and then use it 10 more times or 100 more times. But they'll never actually tell you the process, the systems that you need to build to actually take it from A to B. How do you take a podcast and repurpose it into a blog so that the blog is effective? And how do you take that and pull out the quotes and post them to your social media and create the graphics for that? Who's doing what? Is this a freelancer? Is this a tool? Is this a resource? Are you doing it yourself? What are you doing first, second, third? How do you build the system for that? All of that is workflow, and that's part of this distribution stage of your content marketing strategy. If you don't have that mapped out, you'll never actually get the work done. It's easy to say repurpose your content, but actually having a plan of action to do it is a different story. And then another piece of that, I call it rules, tools, and pools. So within distribution, a big part of this is you need to have your rules, which is you outlining your steps for production. What is step 1, 2, 3, 4 in order? You have to have your tools. Like, what are actually all the things that you vetted? And then within your process, these are the ones you've picked to use, and how do you use them? And then pools, which I mean is pools of talent. How are you going to find the people, and what part of your process are they going to be in charge of, and who's responsible for what? And how are you checking all the work that's happening? All of that's part of this distribution piece, which I think is a massive step that gets skipped by most people out there, and which causes a lot of people to outsource, because people just keep these secrets to themselves, that building this system is hard. And when someone starts to try it themselves, they start to realize it's a daunting task. So these are some of the steps within distribution. And then the fourth piece, which is discovery, again, design, development, distribution, and then lastly, discovery, is our content marketing 4D strategy. And discovery is, I think, the other piece that gets neglected, which is, how do you get people to find your content? You did all this work to create it and to repurpose it and redistribute it in 100 different ways. How are people actually going to find it? And there's 3 categories of this. It's called paid, owned, and earned. This is a classic term. This is classic terminology within the marketing space. And what this refers to is, there are things that you create yourself, which is owned. You have your own channels that you manage, and those are the lowest hanging fruit, but they're also the lowest reach. They're your channels that, if you haven't developed them, have the least amount of people on them. So what are you going to do on your own channels to share your information and make it relevant? And then how are you going to get that to go the furthest it can, which is, how do you make it search engine findable? How do you put it on social in a way that it gets shown to more people? How do you use word of mouth? How do you leverage groups? How do you go to events and share your information? All of these owned opportunities are within your power. They don't require anyone else to do work for you, unless you want to hire someone, but that's still, they're your channels that you own, your email list, that kind of thing. The next piece was paid. Paid is all the things that you have to do to spend money to promote your stuff. It's, where are you going to promote it? When are you going to promote it? How much are you going to promote it? And where are you going to put that? Is it Facebook ads? Is it a Google display network ad? Is it search engine paid ads? What are you doing to promote your content? Are you paying for influencers to share your stuff? You should have a plan. Do you have a budget for what you're sharing? If you don't, this part is cut off your list, but you should think about it. How much further can your content go if you put a little bit of dollars behind getting it out in front of more people? And then the last part is earned. Earned discovery is going to be the part where you have to figure out, how will you get others to share your content or to feature your content? And this could be, in almost that PR space. Like, where are you going to go to get featured? Are you sharing your content with other platforms that might distribute you? Are you getting out there as a personal brand? And are you guesting on shows? Are you guesting on blogs? Are you guesting on podcasts? Are you guesting on Facebook Lives and YouTube channels to spread your message so that people find you? Where are you sharing your message in a way that is earned because other people take it and they push it out to their tribes, to their audience? If you cover those bases and you build a plan for that, that rounds out how more people can actually discover your content. All these stages, design, development, distribution, and discovery, are, my version, my model for saying, anyone out there, if you want to understand how you can take advantage of a content marketing strategy, follow these steps. Go down the line and say, what am I doing to design my content better, to grab attention, and to really be cohesive in everything I create? How am I developing my content to not just be one piece of content plus a couple of social posts? How do I develop it to be a full, cohesive, connected group of content, all related around the one message that I created the one time? And how do I do that consistently? How do I distribute that message across all the channels in the most effective way that gets the most distance from those channels? And how do I actually build the process for doing that so that I don't run out of steam in actually executing this process? You have to have the systems in place. And then how do I get all this information discovered by my audience so that they can find it? That is a content marketing strategy. Those are the steps involved. Again, what are we trying to accomplish here? We are building a plan to reach our goals with content that delivers our message and grabs attention. Easier said than done, but I hope that by hearing some of these steps, it's starting to draw a picture in your mind of what you need to do to take all this work you're putting into creating content and hoping that it can take you further by being a little more strategic about what you are building. There's a little bit of thought behind what you build, how you develop it, how you distribute it, how you promote it, a little more work behind that. And that all that time you spent creating will be worth it. There's an 80-20 rule. And I think a lot of people spend 80% of their time on the creation part of content. Like, what is my next idea for how I can create? And when they want to scale, they focus on what can I do to rev up the creating part. Instead of creating once a month or once a week, I'm going to try to create every day or 3 times a day. And I think they have it flipped on its head. What you should be doing is figuring out, how can I take what I create and spend 80% of my time figuring out how to get the most out of that? Because you do all the work creating all this important, engaging, informational stuff. And if you design it right, it should have the impact that it deserves. But if you haven't done the work to create it correctly and put it in all the right places and get it discovered, then it's wasted effort. So how do you get the most out of your time? How do you make your effort and your energy and your content work harder for you? You build a content marketing strategy, and you take these steps to move your content through this process so that it actually can get the most effect for you. It can help you deliver your message. It can help grab attention. It can help you meet your goals, whatever they may be. That's my approach to content marketing and content marketing strategy. I hope that has resonated with some of you. This whole season will be about content marketing strategy. I have amazing guests coming on in season 3, talking about how to generate leads, how to create content on different platforms, marketing and branding in general. And we'll continue to bring that to you each week. I hope you guys will enjoy our new format. I hope you check out our blogs as we're starting to really build those out and give you all this detail, and you can just download it. If you want to save this information and apply it and apply the 4 Ds, read the blog, go to the show notes, go to brandonbrands.com/notes, download the notes as a PDF so that you can save them into your folder and refer to them when you need to remember what the steps are that you're going to go through in your strategy. And if you guys ever want resources, as we build more and more of these resources, if you want the templates, you want to download a template for this kind of thing, go to brandonbrands.com/resources, and we will always have our latest freebies, our latest bonuses, latest templates and tools up for you on that page. So hope that is helpful for you guys. Hope you find that valuable. I really put a lot of thought into this season and figuring out how I can offer the most value for you and take you on the journey that I'm on as well, in terms of helping people that are creating content, helping people that are out there building their businesses and building their brands by giving you better tools, better resources, and better strategies to move yourself forward so that you can build a brand that not only exists, but also that thrives and that matters, that people say, you know what? This is something that has had impact in my life. This brand matters to me. I'm with them. So hopefully that was useful, and I am excited to keep going and show you guys what's coming on this season. So keep on tuning in. Make sure you are subscribed and catching all the new episodes each week. And I'm looking forward to bringing you guys the next one. So have a great week, and I'll catch you guys next time.
You've just taken your marketing knowledge to another level with this episode of Brands on Brands on Brands. But we have plenty more ways to not just help you build a business, but build a brand. Head over to brandonbrands.com for more resources, as well as access to our blogs, videos, and exclusive coaching sessions with your host. Be sure to visit brandonbrands.com.